Well, this week's guest doesn't need an introduction, but we're going to give them one anyway. A winner of the Irish Tarmac Championship and the Irish Forestry Series, he's also taken victory at most of Ireland's big international meetings from Galway, Killarney, Donegal, and the Ulster. He's also ventured into France and won there twice. And this season, he's heading back to the British Rally Championship for the first time since 2003. So, Garry Jennings, I'm delighted to welcome you onto the first episode of Pitland Podcast. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for asking me on. Yeah, it's been a kind of a funny year now, or 16 months, isn't it? There's not really much happening, so yeah, it's a strange time in motorsport.
And how, I suppose we should ask, how have you and the family been keeping during the last sort of 12 months? It's been challenging for everybody. How have you been coping?
Yeah, we've been very lucky. Obviously in business, and the fuel business is very busy here. Obviously the pub's closed, but yeah, we've been very, very busy, and then the farming's kind of took off as well. Back 12 months ago when I wasn't doing much rallying, to kind of put up the stock numbers, so we're calving this well now. So yeah, we're going well, but hey, it's just pity we've nothing until go and escape at the weekends and go and do what we enjoy, and I think that's what's wrong at the minute now. It's bounding up now, and it's all we're looking to get out.
Well, it's not going to be too long before you're returning to action. It's the end of this month at the Neil Howard stages over in England. So, why are you heading back to the British Rally Championship? Is it because there's no Irish Tarmac Championship and that was the most logical thing to do, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think Jason, we've spoke about it. We've talked about it now for a couple of years. My problem is I don't really like driving left-hand drive cars, and obviously in the Irish Tarmac Championship they want right-hand drive R5 cars. Where, to be fair, it was one phone call to the British Rally Championship, and they were mad to give me come over, and there was no problem, which is very sensible. We can run in the national section of the rally, but our times are combined, and the points are allocated for both types of cars. So it leaves a championship. I don't think we'll be up over there to fight for the championship, but it leaves interest for everybody to watch, and I can see what we can do. I think if we were going to go to the British Championship and we weren't going to be allowed to score overall points, we wouldn't go. But I think when they've allowed us to score overall points, I think it's shown our interest from right-hand drive cars over here and heading that way now.
Naturally, as I said in the introduction, you have a really high profile. You've had a lot of success. You're 2 times winner in Donegal. You've done great things in the Impressive World Rally car. So just taking a step back, before the whole British Rally Championship idea came to the fore, why did you get down the R5 route? Because I know, speaking to you and other Irish tarmac drivers over the years, there was that reluctance to switch from World Rally cars to R5. So what was it that made you decide to finally take the plunge, as it were?
I think, Jason, I want to enjoy myself again. I want to enjoy the rally, and I think the World Rally cars are great, and I really enjoy it. But it's the cars are getting a bit more expensive for running now. They're getting a bit older. Like, I think my car's an 05 car, so it's getting very old. It's nearly an historic spec now. But the R5s have been knocking the door now for 6 or 7 years, and yeah, when I finally got my hands on one, yeah, I was quite surprised. I heard them all talking about, there's no way an R5 car should fit the race of water car. But I think when I first drove the R5 car, I knew actually where all these fellas were getting the speed out of.
Yeah,
technology is a great thing. 13 years down the line, like go back in our head when we were starting off, like Mini Metros were a real fast car. Like Mini Metro now is nothing. It's the slowest car on the road. Just technology is a wild thing. And when I drove the R5 car, I couldn't believe it. I felt comfortable in it. Felt very like Super 1600 car. You had to rev it and drive it at its peak, and I enjoyed it. So I want to go back and enjoy my rallying again. That's why I don't care about results when I go. I want to go and enjoy it, have a smile on my face, and put a smile back on the team's face, and then obviously smiles back at spectators, because that's what it's all about. It's all a spectator sport, and it's the best the buzz we can get is to see people enjoying watching us, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Do you think, Garry, for listeners that wouldn't be too familiar, you actually were involved in the development of the Mitsubishi Mirage R5? Was it 2016? I mean, you've never been scared of taking on a challenge, but having sampled that car, did that put you off the idea of making the switch to R5 at that point? Did you think R5 just wasn't where it should be, and is that why you've put it off making that switch from World Rally cars to R5?
Well, I think the main reason with going with the Mirage was it was only right-hand drive car available at that time, and I must say Spencer Ford was doing a fantastic job in trying to get that car homologated. And I think they just couldn't get the backing to get the homologation over the line. But I do think if the Mirage got the homologation over the line, it would have been fit to compete in the championships. Even though the BRC now, you can obviously convert one and do it, but to have a proper homologated R5 car in right-hand drive would have meant we could have done European Championship events, we could have done World Championship events. So, no, I think Spencer Sport will go in the right direction. That program is now stalled at the minute, but I enjoyed driving the car, definitely did. And I think the couple of days test we done in Ireland definitely helped the car. I think they went to Isle of Man and one of the Manx. So all them wee things, all them wee development things definitely did help. And just right away when I drove the Fiesta, I was trying to get everybody's setups. And I could see exactly all the different people's driving style. And really in a world car, if you make a slight adjustment in your dampers, you don't really feel it. But if you make a slight adjustment in your dampers on these R5 cars, you can feel it right away. You know, a damper setting, you could have to go 4 or 5 clicks harder or softer on rebound to feel it. One click, you definitely feel it in these R5 cars. So, but that's one of the things. Development's one thing, but it's getting miles in the car as well. And I think Ford, especially with M Sport, have a lot of mileage done here, and they've all their settings very well tweaked. I think it's the same as back in the late 90s when Andrew Nesbitt and McHale and them fellas were driving the Subarus. They've got a real good base setting, and then they just took off in Ireland. So, you know, to get the base setting, and it's proven now because these cars are in Ireland now for 6 or 7 years to have the proper base setting for any driver now.
Yeah. The car itself is an ex-Alistair Fisher car, is that right? And you've had it, as you said, converted from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. Is that a big process for those, again, that might not be familiar with the changing of the steering right from one side to the other?
No, it's not a big job. I actually bought the car from Don Buckley. He had it converted.
Okay.
I spoke to M Sport about converting one, and they wouldn't do it, but they advised us to go to Don Buckley. So we probably had an idea of converting the newer version, Fiesta, to the right-hand drive, but we just stuck with the old version to see. Simple reason was I actually gathered up some spares, bumpers and panels and stuff throughout the years, just doing deals here, there, and everywhere for anything. Ended up with some spares for the version 1, so that's why we went that way. But it's not a big job. It's just a mirror image. It's only really a couple of airplane knuckles, joints they call them, and it's easy done. And just change the dash. I think the only on positive bit is the handbrake and the gear stick are the opposite way around. I know in my Subaru, you move the gear stick and the handbrake, and the Fiesta you don't. So if you go to pull the handbrake in all time, it's very easy to pull the gear stick, which I noticed in my first day. But I think if we had a bit of testing underway, get our heads down, we'd get around that. But that's the only thing I can see different from the Ford conversion to the Subaru one is the handbrake, and the gear shifter is the wrong way around. That comes naturally in the other car, but it just can't be changed. So no, as long as the steering wheel's on the right hand side, it'll be all right.
And what's the expectation? Obviously, you've made it clear that you want to have fun this season, but again, I touched upon the fact that you've got a really high profile and you've a very big following over here. And when news of the decision to go to the British Rally Championship broke, I think social media just went in the meltdown, and that's not exaggerating. There were a lot of people commenting on it, and it's garnered a lot of headlines. So, where do you see yourself in the whole grand scheme of things? Do you see yourself top 10 times, inside the top 10? What apart from fun, you're obviously a competitor and you want to win and do well. So where would you like to be sort of midway through the season?
Yeah, I have no expectation in this first rally. I'm not a track person. That's why I went to Mandela there for a half a day when it opened up there. But I don't like tracks. I like open roads. I like forestry. But like this first one is these people have got experience over this rally. So if I can get a top 10, 15 finish there, I'll be happy. But obviously, as we progress and get into the forest, and then obviously in Ulster, I would love to get in the top 10, and then obviously, I'd love to get top 5 in that. Can I do it? I can't see why we can't do it. Rory's with me. We've got a good team. I think it's better going with low expectations instead of high expectations. Kind of whatever happens. But and a lot of people has been asking, we intend to do the full championship, and I can't say, we intend to do the full championship. And I think that's why so many other Irish folks has decided to jump on the bandwagon as well. I think it just shows in the entry. I think we're first in reserve for the rally, but we've been told by the BRC that we're going to get running. So,
right.
Yeah, I think there's been an influx of Irish entries now.
And tell me this, Garry, in terms of the car itself, it's the older version, but do you still think it's going to be competitive against some of the other guys in the BRC?
Well, I think, look, to finish first you must finish. We know the older version's proven. We know it's reliable. I think the new car has had some engine issues so far, probably be ironed out before the start of the BRC. But I'm very confident because the car has got reliability, which is the main thing. We're going to a championship, and plus the fellas looking after the car, Neil McHugh and the fellas, they know the car inside out. So they actually run Callum Devine's car, so they know the car inside out. So I can't see a reason. That's one of the main reasons why I didn't go for the newer car right away, because it'll take a season or two probably to get all the niggles and the faults out of that new version. But obviously it's definitely a bit quicker. But I think reliability is a big thing when you go to a championship as well.
Sorry, just not to cut across Jason there, but just thinking about something you'd mentioned there earlier on the show about, the cost and the sponsorship. But for our listeners that maybe, are maybe tuning in for the first time or don't know too much about rallying, what would a ballpark figure be in terms of price, or to turn yourself and the team out for a weekend at a rally?
I don't tell you, because my accountant here is all going mental. But it does take a lot of money. I just heard the fellow in the office here who's booking the ferries for me tell me that the ferry now across is more expensive. I think it's £800 for the ferry return. So there's something we weren't really expecting, because I know before we went across, the ferries are 400, but like the ferries double in price, and there's nothing we can do about that. But like, it's going to take a lot of money to do it, but it suits me because the first rally is on a Monday, so we go over on a Saturday after work, do what to do on a Sunday, do the rally Monday, home again for work on Tuesday morning, which is a big thing. People don't realise if we go to do Killarney or Donegal, it's a week away. It's 3-day recce, 3-day rally, and you break in between. So 7 days of monotonous driving. So that's why I think if I can go over here and enjoy myself, and we're not going to do it much cheaper. I don't think it's going to be much more expensive, much dearer either, because if we're going to Killarney, it's a day's travelling down, a day's travelling up. We're on the boat now in Belfast. We're across there in overnight sailing, and an hour's time we are where the rally is. So if you take all into consideration, I don't think it's going to cost much more. But ballpark figure in the rally, I don't know. Tires, I think the tires are really, because of the rally, I think there's 4 or 5 different tire suppliers. I think you're cutting you down to a limited number of tires in each event, which is a good thing. I think it's 10 tires for the first event. I think ballpark price and tires 300. So 10 tires is £3,000 right away. So we'll see what happens.
Before we come on there, you'll be delighted to know Jason actually said to me that he's going to lift a mattress. They buy you a set for your own. So you'll be delighted to know that. That'll lighten the load a wee bit for you.
That's what it's like
to say. That's right. Sure, he's in the top bunk of the bunk bed. Hey, he's had much money underneath the bed. Hey.
I wish. You're the man with the money. But I wanted to ask as well, Garry, you mentioned there you'll give the R5 a couple of years before you think about changing. Is R5 a more affordable formula, as people are led to believe, or is it just as expensive as a World Rally car?
I had this conversation yesterday when I seen bills coming in from M Sport. I don't know. I don't see a difference. I must put my hand on my heart. I don't see a difference. An engine build might be a bit cheaper. Obviously, we're going to the first round championship. We'll have to get an engine rebuild to make sure it's sharp. But I don't know. I see the bills coming in there from M Sport, and there's not much of a difference. I think probably the bits are easier got. We've only one supplier, WRC spares in England. It's only people that have the spares for the Subaru, but I don't see a big difference, to tell you the truth. Now, maybe when the car 0 kilometers, they'd set about a lot more 1,000 Ks, where the Subaru wouldn't do that. But
yeah,
I can't see a wide difference at the minute. In maintenance bills, they're getting it up to the 0, as we call it, the 0 miles in the car. No, it's still quite expensive.
Okay. And you mentioned as well that I was looking at the entry for the Neil Howard stage. It's a round of the Motorsport News Championship, and it's also the first round of the British Rally Championship. Do you think the fact that there's no Irish Tarmac Championship this year, has that made it easier for guys like you to go to the BRC? Has that made the whole thing a lot simpler? It doesn't mean you have to split your time and your money between one series and another. You don't have to pick rounds. You just focus on one, and that's it.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no teasing there. I don't know. Is it going to be any rally in Ireland this year? I don't know. There's no decisions made yet. I think definitely the BRC put their head down and said this first round will run. So yeah, it's made it quite easy decision for a lot of people. If we want to go out, we have to go out. But can't forget about Ireland either. It went through a rough time in 2000 when Foot and Mouth was here. I remember I hadn't even started rallying then, but I remember that the entries and all the rallies all had plummeted. And it was only getting back up on its feet again now when this has happened again, and probably only getting the money built up behind all the clubs. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I can't forget about Ireland either. We need to keep the money in circulation here, but will there be any rally in Ireland this year? I don't know. These boys know more than I know.
Well, I was hoping to get it from the horse's mouth, but is that going to be the detriment of the Irish Tarmac Championship? The fact that they have obviously the Irish government stipulations are that you can't have sport, although those restrictions are being eased at the minute. But has that hampered the Irish Tarmac Championship? What do you think? Has the pendulum swung on the other way now, where all the limelights on the BRC and Irish Tarmac Championships just sort of left to pick up the pieces?
Well, before I put an entry in the BRC, of course I tried to get in contact again with the Irish Tarmac Championship to see if they thought anything more about letting right-hand drive cars in the championship.
Okay.
There's nobody there to talk to in the Irish Tarmac Championship anymore. I don't think there's a coordinator in place. I don't think there's a sponsor in place. There's nobody there to talk to. I did spoke to a person who used to be there, and he told me that it wasn't there anymore. So I know it's very hard to know. And then to get somebody in Motorsport Ireland to see what was happening, I know there's nobody there to talk to others. So I think let's get all their heads together very, very soon. The whole thing can collapse again.
More questions and answers, basically, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah. It's great. Whenever I rang the fella that runs the BRC, Campbell, right
Ian
away,
Campbell.
no questions asked. Get your entry in. Get you over. Would love you to come over. Blah blah. That was it. Within 5 minutes, he'd be convinced. What am I even ringing for? Just getting entry in. Where the end of the phone here, there's nobody. So I think it's like anything in business. You have to answer the phone. You have to speak to somebody. If a person wants oil and there's nobody here to answer the phone, they're going to get the oil somewhere else. If we're ringing Irish Tarmac Championship and Motorsport Ireland and they're not answering the phone, I have to go somewhere else.
Is that a thread that's common amongst drivers now, and is that something that you're hearing quite a lot of at the minute?
I don't know if it's a threat. No, I think it's getting very expensive. We all know about the insurance hikes. We all know about the entry fees getting a lot. The fees in England is still very reasonable. Still, would I mind paying a higher entry fee to rally in Ireland? No way. I'd rally in Ireland any day. We don't within reason, within 5, 10, 15%. But see these 50% hikes and 100% hikes. Nobody can sustain that. You couldn't sustain it in business, so I don't know how you sustain it in the sport.
How do you square that circle, and how do you make the sport viable? Because ultimately the money comes to the competitors. So as you say, where do you draw that line, and what is a happy medium where all parties are happy? What would your proposal be if you had a roundtable discussion with all the stakeholders in the Irish Tarmac Championship? What would your proposal be to try and keep everybody happy, as it were, if that's possible?
Yeah, I think we need to pull the whole thing back in again. I think ever since Rally Ireland was here, the rallying was really buzzing then. But then what happened was, with all these different championships, different coordinators, and Motorsport Ireland here, and different Motorsport Ireland here, you get the whole thing pulled back into proportion again. It's like a business. You're not making money. You have to reduce the numbers, get people to do a bit more effort, a bit more work, less coordinators, get the thing together and try and get up and going again. I think there's too many people blaming other people. Okay. And it just takes some people to put their heads up and take responsibility. If somebody sort out the insurance costs, one person deals with insurance, and bring all the motorsport family together and give one underwriter. I know, like, working out, but give the one underwriter the whole work for rallying, bikes, touring cars, endurance, do the whole lot, and try and get. That's my thinking of it. And another thing, like, when we go to, this is the thing that always annoyed me, and I know it annoys a lot of competitors. If we go to a big rally, for example, and we go to the HQ, the rally headquarters, there's always 10 or 15 rooms there for people that come with the rallies. They need 10 or 15 rooms, which our competitors are paying for. I'm not saying we can't do that, but I'm talking about registration crews. I'm talking about scrutineers. I'm talking about all these people that's involved in the rallying. And I'm not saying that's the way it's been, but it was the way it was in the olden times when they're plenty of money about. But do them people need to be staying in the HQ for 4 nights of a 3-day rally? That's an expense. The competitors are paying for, the motor clubs are paying for. I think we need to chuck the whole thing back in again and trying to get it. There's a lot of people in this sport that would do them jobs voluntarily, turn up and do these jobs, and without having to have accommodation paid for and meals paid for and all the rest. And I think that's the problem. We need to pull the whole thing back in and get it in that it can be affordable for everybody.
We're now in May, so we have the best part of half a year before we enter into 2022. Should this be seen as the opportunity to start from a clean slate and rethink how Irish rallying, particularly the Irish Tarmac? Well, we're not having to go to the Irish Tarmac Championship, but I think we all have a vested interest. We want to see Irish rallying prosper and do well. But the elite series in Ireland is the Irish Tarmac Championship. So should there be a complete clean slate, fresh start, and should work already be beginning to try and turn the corner with this championship and get it back to where it was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, look, well, I've been involved in the Irish Tarmac Championship for 18 or 19 years. Have I ever been asked to a meeting or invited to a meeting? A couple of years ago when we were talking about banning the World Rally cars and the R5 cars, we went to 3 meetings and all the high-profile drivers were there. Austin McHale was there, Gareth McHale was there, Tim McNulty was there, Eugene Donnelly was there, all the World Rally car boys were there, along with the R5 boys. And we all suggested just amalgamate all the cars and have R5 cars, World Rally cars, all together in a championship, get everybody to come and play, and so whoever wins the championship, the fastest man wins it. And when I left that meeting, I thought to myself, this is going to work, this is going to be great. But a month down the line, World Rally cars are barred. The decision was made long before we went to that meeting. We ever called a meeting after that? I certainly wasn't. I think competitors have to have their voice listened to. And I think that was the ruination of the Tarmac Championship when they started putting, and they did. And no matter what people say, there was a rife in the camp. It was World Rally cars, VR5 cars. Instead of bringing us all together, and probably if we were all together, playing together, having a crack, we probably would have R5 cars a long time ago. But because that riff was in the camp, it didn't happen. Would I stay with the Tarmac Championship and motorsport out? 100% I would. Would I try and sort out? 100% would definitely try and sort out. But I've been trying for 4 or 5 years now to have right-hand drive cars involved in the championship, and I might as well be hitting my head against the wall. Nobody ever's come back to me. And you know yourself, Jason, you've been at the end of it. Nobody's ever replied to me an email or anything positive about doing it. The British Rally Championship can do it. Like an Irish Championship not do it.
Well, you're a customer. There's a lot of guys spending a lot of money. Aaron asked the question, how much does it cost to do a round? You're not paying insignificant amounts of money here. You're paying big money. So surely then the powers that be should be listening to you. I mean, when is enough enough? When do you actually say, listen, if you're not going to accommodate us and listen to us, we're going to do something else, another championship. We're going to look at another country where, like for instance, you went to France and they really embraced you and the S12B. So when is enough enough, Garry? Your patience only lasts runs thin and can only stretch so far. So when do you call time in this?
Yeah, but just look at the BRC. Look at the first round of the Scottish Championship. Fully subscribed. I think we've an entry in for it as well. And it was fully oversubscribed in 4 minutes. You hear them saying?
That's
full
right,
entry
yeah.
in 4 minutes. So when have we had a full entry list in Ireland lately? It wasn't happening. Simple thing is Scottish Championship the same. World Rally cars, R5 cars, left-hand drive, right-hand drive cars, Group N cars. You're welcome. Come together and do a championship. BRC the same. The British Rally Championship. Look, really, we all know what is this. Is it a step above the Irish Tarmac Championship? We know it is. It's where all the people that's competing in the WRC fought out first in the British Championship. That's what I always told the younger generation. Younger than me, you need to go to the British Championship first, then your next step up on them. When you want to come back and have a bit of fun, come back and do the Irish Championship. That's the way it should be. people were making that step to the British Rally Championship there for 6 or 7 years. I think it's changed now. All these people, younger part of the generation, like the Moffats, are all going to the British Rally Championship. Your next step up from that then is the European Rally Championship and then the World Rally Championship. The incentives is there if you're a young driver to go to the British Championship to get a drive and a round or two of the ERC. I think one of the prizes that M-Sport's putting up. So, I think everybody, to me, boys, everybody should be welcomed in our home championship, the Irish Championship. France is the same. Everybody's welcome to come to the rally. Well, let them race away together. The fastest car wins a rally, and sure, that's what it's all about. And yeah, France is a different experience there, like absolutely rally mad over there. And you go to rally over there, and there's 6 or 7 world cars, and then maybe 20 R5 cars. And I've never heard anybody begrudging a world rally car being there. Like they all wanted them to come, they all wanted them. I didn't really care where you were, but they just loved the world rally cars at their national events. And yeah, I think that's what brings people out, and at the end of the day, that's what the sport needs.
Yeah, I mean the S12B, it's won a lot of rallies, and what's the plans for it going forward? Is that going to be in storage now, or will it be brought out every now and then?
Yeah, well, sitting in the garage here in absolutely mint condition, I must say. Before Galway 20, the boys rebuilt the car to 0 Ks, and I sit in the garage, and it's beautiful. I go and look at it in no time to see where to put a bit of the go-go juice on me, and hey, it definitely does. I actually looked in it last week and I see it started blue mold inside, and I thought to myself, I might have to come out someday for a wee spin, but no, it's still there. Hey, look, will I ever sell it? I don't know. I don't know will I ever sell that car, hey?
And what about your friend Michael Dunlop? Has there any murmurs of what he might do going forward? Is he still the escort? Is he still going to do some events? Do you know?
Probably the last time I was talking to Michael was the day that I come out about the hiking the fees for the rallies, and like he's a true club man and loves going to rallies, and as you know, he just turns up and does them. But it was even like that man and all the racing he does was even turned his nose up a wee bit as well. I think all day and by then been on from as well, and saying about the increase in pricing, and we put a lot of club men off, and hey, you can't put people like that off. You know, the club men are the soul of the rally, and they need to be there. But yeah, Michael's doing a bit of flying there. See him about here all the time. He lands for a cup of tea and stuff, and a field down beside. I have a field down at the farm, so he lands all day for a cup of tea when he's coming down for a spin. But yeah, he's a bit of a publican as well up your end of the world, so we're having a wee break this fella.
I always joke with Aaron there that I think Aaron wanted to ask you a question, but I always say to Aaron that Michael Dunlop's seen the light. He's got a bit of sense. He's actually moved from 2 wheels to 4, and Aaron doesn't really take too kindly to that.
As I always say to you, Jason, you know, the man, he can do what he wants to do. What I would honestly like to see is Garry Jennings maybe getting on Michael Dunlop 600 and going maybe a lap of Kirkeston or somewhere like that. Would that be something that would ever interest you, Garry?
And this is what happened. We always go to a charity every year, the Sparks do in Belfast, and it's always raising money for great causes. Pamela Ballantyne hosts it, and it's always motorsport guests, motorbikes, Formula One, rally, and we all come together in the Culloden for a great night's fun. And this particular night, I never met Michael Dunlop. Me and him were at the one table. I think Ryan Farquhar was there as well. But geez, we got drunk. We were drunk. So anyway, the chat come up at the thing then, and they were all daring each other. And Dunlop was on about rallying. So we're chatting about it, and he says, I wouldn't mind in rally. He says, it was on about, I think Michael's father had a rally car one time. So he said it was on about getting a Mark II escort. I said, that's all right. I said, I'll do you a deal. I said, that's all right. He says, if you come with me in a pendulum ride around the Northwest, that's all right. He says, I'll do Donegal Rally, the Mark II escort. He spat on it, drank, shook hands, deal. I woke the next morning and my wife carries me, you realise the Michael Dunlop's doing Donegal? I says, geez, fair play, that's good. Yeah, but did you realise you said you were going for a spin around the Northwest on the back of his bike? No. He says, you did? I says, no, I didn't. So I kind of forgot about it. So we're at the Northwest, we're standing in the paddock, and Stephen Watts come over and he's chatting us. We're chatting about Donegal was coming up and all the rest. I says, yeah, that's right. And he says, and there's somebody else doing Donegal this year? I says, yeah, that's right. I says, rumours of it, Michael's come to Donegal, that's right. He says, and you're going for a pendulum ride today in the back of his bike. Have you never seen a man leave the Northwest quick in your life? I was out of there. I was home before the last race, for I was getting on behind no bike for that man. Not a chance.
And Gary, are you surprised by just how well Michael has taken to the rallying, or is it one of them things where, you know, he has that know-how about racing and knows where he needs to be and ultimately knows how to drive or ride at a fast pace?
No, Michael, he's a natural. You know, we seen him in Donegal the first year. He's right up there. But having conversations with him, and this was the last conversation we had, he still doesn't listen to his navigator. He tries to memorize all the stages in every corner. Like if he tell you about every gate post and every fencing post and every bit of barbed wire on the TT or the Northwest. Michael tries to do that in the rally car as well. He's trying to memorize everything. And that's unfortunately goes off on a blind place where he doesn't understand what it is. But he'll tell you himself, he doesn't listen to the navigator. He just memorizes. The man must have a great memory because he can memorize. We spoke about in Donegal after the first day. I've been Donegal rally for 10 years, and he was talking about corners that I've been known for 10 years, and I'd have to think about it, and he knew right away where them corners was. So not only is he a genius in 2 wheels and 4 wheels, but and wings as well. He's a good old pilot. But yeah, he's a great memory. He memorizes all them stages.
And I take it you've been up on the plane a run then?
Well, I'm doing my license there too, but he has his. I think he bought his, but I'm doing my proper license. I think he bought his at a China or something the way he flies. But yeah, he was out and about there. He was sending out a Snapchat. We're both there outside Oma here, but yeah, he's his done and he's flying about here. But nah, I'll not go up with the mother. I'll just stay with myself.
Very good.
I just ask Garry, you're obviously really good at the tales and the stories, and I mean you've went over some good yarns to me through the years. And the one that sticks out in my mind was at Donegal 2009. I always like to try and end the show on a nice high note. So would you mind, for the benefit of the listener, just sort of reciting that and telling us what happened on I think it was the final day of the Rally Ireland 2009. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Rally Ireland. Not Donegal.
No.
Aye. This is all. I'm always in the Highlands. Funny, there was a fella in here on Saturday in the office here paying an oil bill. He was from Strabane country. And he says to me, I know you. He says, he says, aye. He says, I'm a bouncer he says, I was bouncing at Mount Errigal, Donegal Rally, and I don't know what year it was. 05 or what. I says, aye, and you met me. Oh, he says, I met you already. He says, I had to pull you off the stage. So that was a nice comment coming here in front of me children. I said, I wasn't on the stage. I don't know. Oh, and 09 in Rally Ireland, I live on the border here in Fermanagh. The next town across from here is Pettigo, and then in Donegal town. So used to be in the bank holiday weekends, used to head to the Abbey Hotel. Used to be the place to go on a Sunday night. So it's only about 20 minutes back up to my village here. So we were in the Abbey Hotel probably 4 or 5 weeks before the rally, and you know yourself on this Sunday night, there'd be a bit of bad manners given to the bouncers and stuff. So I think we're all kicked out of the hotel, and then the bouncer, he hit me a clip when he went out to the door, and he says, go you back up north, Jennings. He says, you can drive nothing anyway. He says, I come back in the street, and I said, I'd tell you, sir, the final Sunday of Rally Ireland, I hope you're standing there, for I'm going to do 2 of the nice perfect donuts outside the door of this nightclub. And he hit me a clap. Now. A bit of wit, and he sent me way up north. So this is my head high for the weeks of rally, and I spoke for Rory a couple of times. I said, you know, Rory, if I get to the rally on Sunday evening, I'm going to have to do 2 circles outside Abbey Hotel. He said, no, not a chance, he says. I said, well, that's all right. So we're Andy Nesbitt, or as I call him, shiny shoes. You ever see him? He wears the most shiniest shoes, sir. You nearly shaved looking down the shoes. The shiny shoes, he was talking to me about a week before the rally, and he was chatting about it, and he says, Donegal down, he used to be with us down there too. He says, here we room it, you might do a lot of circles outside the Abbey Hotel on Sunday. He says, aye, planned anyway, sir. So I kind of forgot about it, and we were out then, and on the last stage of Rally Ireland, there was about an hour break before we started the last special stage. So we were out on the water bus. We're all out we had to get for tea and coffee and scones in the water bus for an hour. So we were all in the water bus, Loeb and all the boys on it, Solberg and the whole lot of them, and Malcolm Wilson was there. We're talking, and I heard Rory Kennedy's phone ringing, and Rory looked at the phone. He says, "Geez, Gordon Noble's ringing," and Gordon Noble then was a COC for Rally Ireland. And I could hear Rory said, "No, definitely not. No way. No, 100% Gordon. No, definitely not. I said, right. I said, what's that about? He says, Gordon Noble's ringing, hey, telling me to make sure that you don't do any donuts or anything stupid in Donegal. I says, why? He says, they've got a tip off the TV crew that you're going to do donuts and Abbey outside the Abbey of Hell. I says, not a chance. He says, you can't do that now, Garry. I says, that's all right. So we pulled up to the start line of the special stage. I could see Nesbitt way up with the TV crew heading up to the Abbey Hotel, and Rory, he's me. Now, don't you do it? I said, no, definitely not. So, start the stage, and I count down. We start the stage and round the Abbey Hotel once, round the square once, and come back around the second time, and I could hear Rory Kennedy laughing. And I knew rightly what the laughing meant. So, see, there was Nesbitt, him jumping up and down, and I nearly didn't do it. And I says, we'll do it. I done two of the best big black circles outside the Abbey Hotel, and all I could see was Nesbitt jumping. So they come to the end of the stage anyway, and I could hear the commentator saying, aye, and Garry was going so well on that stage, but he had a bad spin outside the Abbey Hotel. So there was a lot of bad publicity about it after the rally. I was going to lose my license and all, but we're going away with it, so we were all right. But yeah, you do these things. You only do it once, I'll do it again. That's
right. Life's not a dress rehearsal, is not what they say.
That's right, hey. We're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time.
That's right. Well, have you all your preparations done then for the first round of the British Rally Championship? Everything coming together, Garry, or do you leave it to the last minute, or what way do you work things?
Jason, I do nothing. I leave it up to Rory. Rory do all the organising. Brian McNulty, who's a British Championship navigator, works for me in here.
Mm-hmm.
He's booking all the ferries and the accommodation and putting in the late entries there. And then Rory, he looks after the rest. So it's like a arrive and drive package. I'm not worrying about it. We'll go and do it. No expectations. I'm going to enjoy myself. I've got our friends coming up from further down south in England. So they're all coming up to watch. So hopefully they'll get in and some of the restrictions will be lifted, and some people and friends of mine go up and watch it as well.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Garry, thanks so much for coming on to the first episode of Pitland Podcast. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and we'd just like to wish you all the best for the season ahead. Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Aaron, as well. Even you're a two-wheel expert. Hey, we'll get you converted yet to four wheels. I've been called a lot of things, Garry, but a two-wheel expert definitely isn't one of them. Hey, I wouldn't just go as far as expert, but as I would just like to say the same as Jason. Good luck for the season ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you, boys. Well, that's all for this week's Pitland Podcast. Make sure to give us a review on whichever platform you choose to access our podcast, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to ensure that our lovely voices can be heard on your tablet or smartphone device every Tuesday. Until then, stay safe.